All right now, settle in a minute. This is a Porch-light reading of Dan Koe's piece, The Art of Strategic Thinking, How to Become Wildly Successful. The man put it out August 8th, 2026, and the heart of it is simple enough you could write it on a napkin. Most folks ain't failing for lack of tips. They're failing for lack of position. Everybody's racing to be successful right now, and you'd guess it. 99.99% of them will not, in fact, become successful because they're obsessed with the wrong thing. The latest Claude code skill that went viral on Instagram, the YouTube video that teaches you how to start a business in 5 actionable steps. Dan says he still doesn't get how people don't realize that thirst for actionable steps won't help them in the slightest. They're obsessed with tactics. The same knowledge everybody else already has. All the information you could ever need to make $100 million is sitting online, in books, or inside an AI chat. So why isn't the whole world rich? Because advice without a puzzle frame is just noise. The pieces don't fit if you don't know the board. 2 reasons most people stay stuck. 1, they swapped one cheap dopamine for another. Endless tactic collecting feels like progress while you don't move an inch. Dan argues it's worse than doom-scrolling rage bait. At least rage bait is honest about being a waste. 2, they don't have a strategy that lets those tactics hit with force. No strategic bone. Half the time they aren't thinking. They're puppets for people good at internet marketing. And he says it plain. It ain't the marketer's fault you can't control your own mind. He ain't above the trap. 6 years ago, he fell in it, still falls in. Business after business, Facebook ads, SEO, dropshipping, digital art, hobbies dressed up as careers. He wanted money and out of the job. His actions didn't match. Learned the high-value skill, felt good. Built the website, felt good. Registered the LLC, felt good. When it came time to ask somebody to pay, he was nowhere to be found. Missing piece wasn't another tactic, it was strategy. And deeper than that, the ability to think strategically, hard skill, harder than people admit. He walks 4 ideas. First, Bobby Fischer. Strategy is getting yourself into a superior position while making sure your opponent is in a worse one. Tactics flow from a superior position. Picture chess. Early game looks boring, nobody capturing, just sliding pieces to better squares. Not all squares are equal. Center pieces reach farther than corner pieces. A rook on an open file ain't the same as a rook stuck behind your own pawns. From outside it looks like nothing. From inside the board is being bent. Life works the same. You can collect openings, the courses, the tools, the posts, and still lose every middle game because you never built position. Tactics without position is thrashing, pretty thrashing, still thrashing. Second, the average person lives in a mindless cycle of struggles they can't escape. School, job, retire. A quiet voice says that path ends in regret. Then adulthood hits with bills, responsibilities, thoughts, and that modern comfort that lets you coast and still survive. In real war, the general's life was on the line. That forced depth. You tolerate a meaningless day for video games and a few beers. Dan's hard line here. You need pressure, tactical stress. Put yourself where you must craft a strategy or you lose. Move into the apartment you can't quite afford. Book the ticket. Spend the money on the tool even if you half suspect it's a scam. Because false comfort is the real trap. Without strategy, every decision is arbitrary. And your life is just the pile of results from those decisions. Third, how you build superior position. Go so deep you see patterns everywhere. Musashi, Book of 5 Rings, 9 precepts. Don't think dishonestly. The way is training itself. Get acquainted with every art. Know the ways of all professions. Understand gain and loss in worldly dealings. Develop intuitive judgment. Perceive what can't be seen. Attend even to small things. Do nothing useless. Musashi's strategist ain't a dabbler, not the modern generalist who knows a little about a lot. Not only a specialist either, something past both, the master. You go so deep into one discipline you hit something universal at the bottom. Patterns that aren't just business or chess or sword work. Constants. Once you see them across domains, you stop starting from zero. Dan maps that to what people call the strategist stage. Systems thinking, holding competing systems at once. Comfort with paradox. Pro and anti at the same time without fake clean answers. Process over outcome. Awareness of your own constraints. Meta-awareness. Watching how you make meaning, not just deploying expertise. Fourth, how to think strategically enough to take the wheel back. 7 principles, military clean. Vision, know the end state. Anti-vision helps. Write the post-mortem of the life you refuse. What failure looks like in detail. That sharpness cuts better than vague dreams. Research, study the terrain. Markets, people, constraints. History of how this kind of fight was won and lost. Preparation. Build reserves before the crisis. Skills, cash runway, relationships, tools. Position before the attack. Focus. Concentration of force. France, 1940. More tanks than Germany. Spread thin across the whole front. Germany put every panzer through the Ardennes, the impassable gap. Focus is where you put what you have. Most folks put 10% into diet, sleep, side hustle, meditation, relationships, and stay mediocre at all of them. Fix the bottleneck first. Money frees food quality. Energy frees relationships. One platform before 5. Force at the decisive point. Execute, not forever planning. Contact with reality. Ship. Ask for the money. Make the call. Adapt. The map is not the territory. When the board changes, change without abandoning the campaign. Study of principles, cybernetics, systems theory, Taoism, spiral dynamics, game theory, evolutionary theory, flow and performance psychology, lenses on how reality actually moves. A year in those raises everything else you touch. So what's the takeaway if you strip the marketing off it? Stop hoarding tips like a man stacking firewood in a flood. Build position. Put real pressure on yourself so strategy becomes necessary. Go deep enough that patterns show. Then focus hard enough that force concentrates. Tactics are cheap now. Strategy was never cheap. And thinking strategically, that's the rare muscle. This was Dan Koe, The Art of Strategic Thinking. Read for you in a southern drawl, Porch-light low. You want the full, long read. It's on his letter, Strategy versus Tactics, how to actually get ahead of 99% of people. All right, that's enough for one sitting. Go build position, not another bookmark.